Alright, so boom, we're back talking about Battlefield 2042 again. Now listen, guys, listen. I want your honest opinion. Let me know if Battlefield redeemed itself, because that's what I'm getting. That's what the energy is lately. Due to the updates and the I'm pretty sure they're in season. They're going up to season 4, so they're adding more seasons than they initially said. So people thought it was going to get dropped because they only promised, I believe, 1 or 2 seasons, and they're coming out with. They say they're going to go all the way to 4, adding new maps, new trailers, fixing bugs, adding more. But it's getting progressively better. And this video is going to be less about Battlefield and more about the state of games and how they're released now. But we're going to start talking about Battlefield first. Now, a lot of people have been. Obviously, when it released, it was critically, it was bad. It was terrible. Let's not play around. I'm not gonna lie, but it's starting to get better with these updates and map reworks and stuff like that. Adding new weapons, finally more than like 7 weapons in the main game mode at least. And now we're having more content creators, even that's been more negative towards the project, even get sponsored to get back into it, or to give an assessment, or to say, has it gotten better now? Now, obviously, some things got better, some things are still, people still want classes, the iconic classes. Like I said, my favorite Battlefield was 4, right? And I just think that they should have just copy and pasted 4, and they just added whatever you needed to, and just. Really, it should have just been 4 plus the portal mode. And I don't know. I guess I gotta play Battlefield for 2042 to understand why portal mode felt so bad, because that was supposed to be the safe net. That was supposed to be like, if the all-out warfare or the normal mode is terrible, then you could always just go to portal and do it yourself. They got coding. You could code your own stuff. I gotta look more into that, because I wanted, because that's what I was saying at the conference when I got when they got the release trailer. I was gonna say, well, even if the main game was terrible, at least people would have to fine tune and tweak and balance their own thing. And then that never happened, because nobody plays it, because you either get low XP or no XP. But obviously they had to take off. If you're gonna have custom games, you have to take off XP. That's just how it is. All right. Now, can you progress? Yes. And now this is obviously the system they did earlier, where they did like the amount of tweaking you do, or the amount of settings or certain settings that you move or tweak will you'll get less credits due to how much modified the game is. Very simple, right? All right. So if you give players less health, more damage, and like you get like 1,000 kills, you're not gonna get the same amount of points you would get on a normal game mode. So you'll get reduced points. And now, obviously, when games have like, for instance, hardcore mode, when you get, so they give them less health, less HUD, more damage, so it could be like more, you don't want to go out there and run around and get one-shotted and then, stuff like that. Well, people are getting less XP and less progression throughout playing those matches, even if that's what they want to do. So they'll say, well, I want to grind for this gun or this attachment or this skin or this whatever. But you can't do that, because it take you playing that competitive mode that you love to play so much. You can't even play it, because if you want to get anywhere, you got to go play all out warfare, or the normal mode. I don't know what it's called. I'm pretty sure it's called all out warfare. But you have to play that mode, and you just don't like the mode. It's just not hitting right. You don't like it for this reason, whatever. So that's one of the things I think that's plaguing it. And what they did was, with the modifying rules and stuff, is a good start. But I would have to really sit down and think how something like that will be, like how it will be perfectly balanced, right? Because I seen when the game first dropped, portal mode had, I think, like zombies, or it was some type of AI thing where the AIs can get on top of the roof, and you would just stand there and just mow them all down, get tons of points. I had to disable either points or the entire mode in general. So the game was not ready, to say the least. Because with planning, you would have had at least some kind of thought or process around this. But speaking of that, I just want to know if it got better. People having more positive. They're not fully on the 2042 horse, obviously, but they're not running away from it anymore. You know what I'm saying? But all right, so now we're gonna talk about why games are releasing in such a terrible state. And I already talked about this before, but I keep on wanting to refresh it and keep it in everybody's mind of like what's happening. So here's the current AAA game design release meta, right? They release a game that's been worked on for 2 to 3 years, that's rushed, right? You spend little time on actual. More money can go to. I'm not saying it does, but more money could go to trailers, advertisement, sponsors, critics than the actual game, right? Cyberpunk, I love the game, but that's what happened. They had Night City Wire. They had multiple trailers. That had that one cinematic trailer that cost a pretty penny. That shit looked good. It didn't look like the game, so I knew it cost a lot. You know, my bad. I'm tapping this thing anyway. So yeah, they're doing that now. So the new Call of Duty, massive bugs. You couldn't even play the BR for a while. It was terrible. But you know, you would think that the main mode they would have. Correct. I've seen people moving at 3 frames per second. That's not okay. Like what the fuck? Like, you know, so the meta is, right, drop a game that's worked on with 2 to 3 years, right? And that's how you spend the least money as possible with being productive as possible, and then dropping it, getting negative feedback, saying to the community we're sorry, and then slowly fixing it until you barely breach the threshold of barely playable, or it's good enough, or you have enough meat riders to be like, well, at the start it was terrible, but look at it now. It should have been there. It should have been now, back when it released, instead of then. If you copy, it should have been that good as they fixed it when it released. You know, and then as soon as they get to that threshold of enough people are like, oh, this is good now, barely enough, where they can make it great, they can make it awesome, they can make it intuitive, they can make it new, but they stop at just playable and just enough people to keep it going for that 2-year cycle, so they can drop another game. You know, so because why would you go over the cycle to make stuff amazing and cool and fix bugs and do all this when people are playing the game, and yeah, they may be crying about it, but guess what other games are gonna play? You gonna play what you gonna play? You're not. But Call of Duty, he was moving at it, bro. He was teleporting. What other games you gonna play? You ain't gonna play 42. The maps are so wide open. You want to get sniped? What else you gonna play? Like, come on. And I'm talking about multiplayers because everybody's talking about God of War and Elden Ring. Yes, those are special cases, all right? Those are developers that actually care or actually like have their pride to talk about, you know. Anyway, but so as soon as they hit that threshold, they leave the project, they drop it, or they just ghost it, and they're not gonna say they're not gonna drop it. They might have little bug fixes here and there that only like 2 people or 3 people are doing. Skeleton Crew. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying that's the meta. That's what they do now, right? Now they said it wasn't Skeleton Crew working on 2042, and it's probably not. I don't know, because all they added was maps. They added a new tank, a new map. Map is one of those things that labor intensive, so maybe. But adding a new tank, adding new guns, adding new what else they added? They redid maps. Those are kind of, and you could get a good solid team of 3 to 5 people to do that. You know, give them enough time, they'll make it crispy. But the map reworks, maybe that's if they have the adequate testing. But obviously they didn't test anything else when it released. So why would you assume that they're gonna, you know? So you can. They'll just drop it. They'll go to the next one. Because that's what they do. That's what AAA developers do, right? Why make something great when you're making money from it and they're satisfied enough where they say, okay, we'll take this, right? If Cyberpunk right now stopped getting updates, people are like, well, it's way better than at launch. Of course it is, because at launch it was terrible. It was terrible. Come on. I like Cyberpunk. I'm gonna admit it. It was terrible. About 2042, I played the beta, and I was like, I might buy the game. And then as soon as it dropped, everybody said it was dog, and I did not buy the game, and I'm glad. I'm not a Call of Duty fan, but if I was, I'd probably be upset with the new Call of Duty, you know? So that's just how it is now, and it's gonna keep on doing that. It's gonna keep on repeating that cycle. Now, Activision, whoever Microsoft bought the Call of Duty, we don't know what's going on in the gaming world. I'm not gonna lie, but they're gonna keep. But I can't tell you what's gonna happen though. They're gonna keep on doing that, right? They're gonna keep on releasing terrible game, and something has to change the meta. The meta's got to change. It's been going on for a minute now, and it's either the people are gonna stop buying so fast on they're gonna stop buying first week, first day, first drop. But I highly doubt that, because people could get suckered for those trailers, those YouTubers that all they do is play the fucking game, the cinematic trailers, the screenshots, the promises, the interviews, the teasers. Like you could brainwash somebody with some great looking, not assets, visuals, eye candy. Or right, they're gonna get to a point where they're gonna be rushing their developers so fast to get the game out. So instead of 2 years, it will become 1 year, and then they'll have to keep on throwing out garbage after garbage until they start losing money, until they switch back to either 2 years, or they'll go back into a more, more ethical, meta. So you get the average 4 to 5 years. You'll actually, don't overclock your developers, and like I said, overtime. What's it called? It's not called overtime. It's called Well, when you know the word. I'm blanking out because I'm recording. Every time I record, I blank out on words. But crunching, yes, crunch. I think crunching is important, but it's only important in 3 stages. At the start, you shouldn't even be doing that much crunching. It's more about just organization and getting stuff done. The month before release and the day of release, that's just mandatory. If companies are asking you to crunch on those days, that's reasonable. But you can't be crunching throughout the year, or just randomly this month, and then this month, oh, somebody didn't do this, so this whole team has to crunch this. That's mismanagement, and even though, when you crunch people, it'll get more progress. It'll be highly limited, because if you're not at your A game, you're gonna work slower, sloppier. It's gonna be worse. So why they're doing that at the expense of the quality, and that's obvious because you see the games nowadays. But anyway, I should just make a new video, different video on just talking about AAA and all that stuff. But we'll see, man. We gotta see about this new. I want to see about the future of Battlefield 2042. See what they're gonna do. Then I'll talk about it. And also, I heard Call of Duty's kind of fixing their stuff, so we'll see about all that. But that is all I had to say. Damn, I've been talking for 13 minutes. That's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. All right. Roll the outro.
Cool. I'm always worried about my city boy.